Okay, the topic which we are going to cover is there were many topics which were left in yesterday's class. So one is abstraction, and in abstraction we have three things to cover: abstract class, data hiding, and interfaces. So I'll be starting with data hiding. Let's discuss the problem and then we'll discuss its solution. So what is data hiding? As the name, just a second. If you look at the name of this term, data hiding, you might be getting an impression that we are hiding data, but
Can you
actually
share
that,
your screen?
oh, I'm sorry. Let me share my screen. Okay, so I was saying that we are going to cover this data hiding. What does this data hiding means? As the name is saying data hiding, so you might be thinking that we are going to hide some data, but actually that's not the case. What we do is, let me first share one small problem which might occur because of excess modifiers, and then we'll talk about its solution. So let this Eclipse open. Okay, so I'll go back to that employees project. So let me, okay. Okay, so I'll just copy that employee and demo employee from here. I'll paste it here. What happened? Okay, I guess it created a package. Okay, so this employee, if you look at what we are doing here, we have this employee class in which we have a salary and we have a bonus, and then let me remove unwanted things. I don't need the constructor for now. I don't need this method. uh, I need this calculate salary. Rest also I don't need, so I'll just remove all these things. So here what I am doing is I just created one class called employee in which there are two variables, salary and bonus, and then I'm doing I'm just creating one method called calculate salary, and in this I'm just calculating the total salary of the employee. Then in the demo employee, uh, I'll just remove this. I don't need this, and then I don't need all of these. Okay, so yeah, this also not required. So basically what we are going to do is I'll just let me just quickly JSON dot, okay, there is no method with this. Let me simply call JSON dot calculate salary. Okay, so now I'll execute this code and you'll see some of these two salary and bonus component will be printed, right? So if I execute it, right click, run as, why it's hanging. Okay, so you can see that the sum of salary and bonus got calculated. Okay, now if you look at here, these two variables, int and salary, both of them has default access. Default access means within the same package, and wherever you'll call these two variables, they'll be available, right? By both means, by inheritance as well as by creating the instance, right? Now here when we are calling these variables, if you look here, as these two are integer variable, they can have any int value, right? So if by mistake or something you do this, you put a negative sign before the salary, okay, then what will happen? What's gonna happen? If I calculate the salary now, I'll get a negative salary, right? I got minus 9020. That means you have to return this much amount to your employer. Why this happened? Because the variable which you're using is an integer variable and is default. As it is default, it can be accessed anywhere and you can put any value to it within that range. Outside that range, I agree that you cannot apply, but within that range, you can enter any value. There is no restriction, right? So this causes a problem, maybe because of some logic error or something. You get the negative value, or maybe user can put some negative value. Maybe you're using this particular class file. Over this, there is a form from where you are receiving the value and you're supplying to this, and user can enter negative values from the form, right? So you're not putting any restriction to your variables. So this is one problem. Now what is its solution? One of the problem I said. So what is its solution? Solution is restricting these variables from the outside world. Okay, so how you can restrict? Yes,
What
yeah, yeah, Jason.
and what calculate salary? In this method, we are not passing any variables.
Yeah, yeah. So we are using these two values,
And
right?
how it is going within inside when we don't pass any variable,
Mm-hmm.
and how it goes inside that method.
Yeah, see now here in this class, employee class, I created salary, I created bonus, and then some of the salaries using, right? In the demo class for employeeization, I'm accessing the salary variable first, so the salary will be updated. Then I'm updating the bonus, so this bonus will get update, and then we are calling calculate salary. So whatever value of GSON variable is there for salary and bonus, that will be used here.
What I'm asking is that calculate salary in this method.
Mm-hmm.
We are not passing any variables.
We are not passing, but we are using, right? Salary and bonus we are using. Okay, I'll show it in debug mode probably, then it will help. Um, so I'll just put debug mode here. Right click, debug as Java application. So here you can see that there is a variable called JSON. There's an object called JSON in which there is a bonus variable and then there is a salary variable. When I execute this code, F5 and F6 two are there, right? So I'll press F6. See, salary got updated with this value. Bonus got updated with this value. Now I'm going to call this method called calculate salary. So I'll go inside. F5 I did. When I did F5 for this particular class, you can see bonus is whatever you put, salary is this. So what values are being used here? Salary and bonus. What does this salary value have? This value. What does this bonus value have? This. When you do a calculation, then there is another variable called total salary which add them up. So this value came, and then this is printing it. Clear or still any doubt?
Yeah, because as far as I have learned in methods, if you pass the values in the method, then you can use the values in there.
No, no, no,
If you're not passing it,
no, no.
then how you can transfer it from one place to another?
Okay, no, that's not the case that only by passing the. So just recall the employee class we created day one of classes and
Yes,
object. So if you recall there,
yes,
there were multiple ways of creating methods. So I remember I told you that a method, I mean somewhere I might find that sheet also. Let me see if that is there. Yeah. So if you recall this, we discussed about what is a method. uh, if we talk about what is a method, this is a mathematical method. Remember, we put x equal
yes.
to some input, then output. So here we discuss that this is the basic syntax of a method. A method may or may not have any argument. It can have a return type is must. That return, if there is if the method is not returning anything, then we can use void. And then access modifiers are public static void, public, private, protected, and default. And then we have the logic. So you may or may not have an argument here. So this is an example where you don't have an argument and return type is void. So here we are using the variables which are defined at class level. So these were the class level variables, if you recall. We discussed about class level variables and argument level variables. So these are class level variables, and here we are using class level variable in this method. Then again same method with return type as sorry, return type as int, but still no argument. And then we discussed one method where we were passing the arguments and also return type is int. Then we discussed one more method where we were passing the arguments and those arguments had same name as that of class. Then to use class level methods, we use this keyword. Recall?
Both are similar. Like when we are passing it variables and we are not passing it, so both are resulting similar.
Yeah, both are similar. It's just that when you're passing the arguments, you can use those arguments also, or you can use the variables defined at class level. So here I defined variables at class level, this salary and bonus, and this salary and bonus I'm passing through arguments. And these are salary and bonus I'm passing through arguments. So we discuss which one it will use, whether it will use these two variables or the one above defined. So we also came to know that it will use the argument level. If you want to use class level, then you have to put this keyword before the variable name.
Okay.
Okay, so just go through this particular tutorial again, then probably you will recall it.
Okay.
Okay, so yeah, uh, now is the problem statement clear to you that here we created two variables, salary and bonus, and the salary and bonus, though both of them are integer type. So if they are integer type, we cannot have any restriction. We can pass the negative values as well. But according to the
Mhm.
situation, no one can have a negative value as the salary. So what we'll do? First of all, let's restrict these variables so that nobody from outside can access them and change them. So I'll just change them to private. Okay, I change here to private, and then I change this one also to private. Okay, now comes a situation, as I made them private, then there comes a situation that these two variables are not accessible at all. You cannot access. You can say that an error is coming saying the field employee.salary is not visible. Okay, so this is not visible. These two variables are not visible. Now what to do? Okay, in such a situation when variables are not visible, there is a concept of something known as getters and setters. So what I'm going to teach next topic is getters and setters, and then these are very standard methods. So we put a small get before getter, and we put a small set before a setter. What does they mean? uh, when you have to assign value to these variables from outside and they are private variables, you cannot directly assign the values. what you can do in that case is you can write some kind of getters and setters. So setters are to assign values, getters are to get values. First, I'll tell you how to write a setter because that's what we need now. So we have two variables, salary and bonus. So I need to assign value to my salary variable. So it will be public. These getters and setters are always public method. Return type will always be void. And then I'll say set salary. Okay, set salary, and what value you want to set, I'll take it as an argument. Okay, in the method I'll say this dot salary. That means whatever variable salary variable you have defined at the class level, assign this variable a value which you are taking from the argument. Okay, so whatever value you are taking from the argument, assign that value to the class level variable. Now here, when I have to assign this salary value, I'll say Jishan dot, instead of salary, I'll say now set salary, and whatever value I want to pass, now I can pass here. Okay, so I don't need this variable, so I can remove it. So this set salary will be used to assign values to these variable. Okay, similarly, you can create one setter for bonus variable as well. Now there is a shortcut to do that. Right click, then there is an option of source, to go there, and then there is an option of getters and setters, generate getters and setters, go there. And here uh, you need to generate setter for bonus, so open it and say set bonus. Okay, and okay, so you can see it automatically created that same method. So here when I'll come here for this bonus, um, here I'll say Jishan dot set bonus, and bonus you can put any value. Okay, now I don't need this, I'll remove this. So if you execute the code now, exactly same thing will happen. This variable and this variable, a sum of this will get print, because this value will be coming here, and that value is here, and that value get assigned to the class level variable, and that class level variable is being used here. So this is one way of setting. Now any questions till now, Jishan?
What is the advantage of doing this
Yeah, yeah.
long way? Oh,
Yeah, I'm coming to it. So I told you that we cannot assign, we can assign negative values. So if you'll see here also, I can assign a negative value, right? If I execute this code, you can see still a negative value is being assigned. But there is one benefit here. Now we have control over this variable. Earlier, we cannot do it anything with that. It's an int variable, I cannot do with it. But once I made it private and made getters and setters, I have control on it. What I can do is I'll say salary, if salary is less than 0, or maybe uh, I'll say if salary is greater than 0, then only assign this. Then only assign this, else I'll say system.out.println, and I'll change this out to ERR. ERR are to print errors. I'll say invalid salary. Okay, and similarly, same logic you can apply to bonus. So if I'll execute the code now, you will see I'll get invalid salary. Okay, though salary got printed because you need to do some extra things to stop using this also. That will learn in future. But yeah, at least you have the control on salary now. No negative salary is allowed. If negative salary is being allowed, is being used, then it will simply throw an exception. I mean, it will simply not use it as printing invalid salary. Getting the point what we are achieving here. So what we have achieved
Yes,
here is that instead of having the direct access to the variables, we gave limited access to those variables using setters. In this way, in previous earlier, I never had any control over the salary variable. So as it was an int variable, I can assign negative values or unwanted values to it. But here I gave a control.
but we can use this if statement. If you go up,
Mm-hmm. Before means
yeah, you can go up. You can up.
here.
Yeah, in calculate salary method, we can use this if statement over here as well. After getting the total salary, and after this calculation, we can put the if statement before the system out print line.
Agree
Isn't
to
that
you
possible?
that you're saying that after this total salary, I can put if salary is. I agree to you. You can do that, but uh, I mean, inserting everything inside the logic is not a good idea. Here,
Okay.
I agree you can do here, but you are making your calculate salary complex unnecessarily. Uh, why to go to calculate salary when you can handle that here itself? Okay, there can be many more restrictions which you can put over this now, over the salary variable, which you might not be able to put it here. And it's not one variable, there can be n number of variables which you want like this. Okay, and in real time, I mean in real time projects, this is a standard. We generally don't keep any variable as public. Maximum we go is protected. Very few variable we keep as public. Maximum we go is protected. Otherwise, we keep them either default or private, and most of the variables are kept private. And then to assign value or to get value, we use something known as getters and setters. So that's a standard being used. Even though if you don't want to put any restriction on your getters and setters, then also generally people use this get set. Okay, so yeah,
Okay.
this is data hiding. Why data hiding? Because you're hiding, not hiding your data, but restricting your data, uh, and so that nobody from outside can change it. Okay. Another reason why I'm using this get and set is, like you mentioned, that I can restrict or put this condition in my calculate salary. I agree that we can put there. But the thing is, let's say there are n number of methods which are using these two variables. So are you going to change in each and every method? That's not practically possible, right? So that's the reason we generally define getters and setters here. Okay,
Hmm. Got it.
so this is set. Now another point comes that these two variables which we have defined, salary and bonus, I cannot access them outside at all, right? So what if I want to see what is the value of salary? I mean, I just want to uh, get those values. I want to use those values. So what you'll do? In that case, as these are private variables, what we can do is we can create getters for them. How to do? Again, there is a shortcut, right click. You can write your method also, or you can use this shortcut. So right click, source, then generate getters and setters. And for both methods, just select the get bonus and get salary, and then okay. So it will create get methods for them. So here you can see get methods are created. So what is the standard? Standard is whatever variable name. Before that you'll put get. Whatever is that, whatever is the argument type, I mean the variable type, data type of the variable, that should be the return type. And then there will be a simple one-liner statement: return salary, return bonus. Now, if I want to use, after setting the salary, if I want to use what is the value, so here I can say, yeah, system.out.println, gson dot get salary. So if I execute this code, You can see salary is 0. I mean, what the value got printed? Let me put. Okay, so when I execute this code, you will see that GSIN salary is calculated at 0, though I was putting the values as this, right? So still we are getting 0. Why? Because this value, whatever we put, when it went inside this employee variable, okay, here there was a condition that if salary, whatever value you are putting, is greater than 0, then only update the value. Otherwise, change that, keep that value as what it was. So, I mean, by default, the value is always a 0. So the value got updated was 0, right? Now, if I change it to positive value, my condition will get true, and I can, when I execute, you can see Jishan salary got printed as this. Okay, so this is a standard way of getting the values if your variable is a private variable. Okay, and these are standard set variables. So getters and setters, these are known as getters and setters. Getters to get value, setters to set value. And what we are achieving from here is the variables which had the direct access now has the access but a limited access. You can do what you want. You cannot assign unwanted values to those variables. Yeah, Jishan, go ahead.
Still with the get salary
Mm-hmm.
and get bonus. Like we have set salary and set bonus, that is fine.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not it's not clear with me right now with the get method.
You're not clear with the get method. Okay. See.
Because we are passing it here and returning salary
Mm-hmm.
and returning it to
Yeah. See, uh, these are two variables, salary and bonus, right? Now, earlier when I don't had this private variables, and uh, you want to know what is the value at a particular moment, what is the value of salary, and what is the value of bonus at a particular moment. You want to get those values. Okay. Here, when you put the salary, when you assign the salary, you want to know did it actually got updated with this value or not. So what you'll do in that case, if they are not private, you can simply call salary, right? You can simply call that value and you will get that value. You can simply print it or use it wherever you want. Now, as those variables, salary and bonus, they are private. That means you cannot access them here directly. You cannot call salary, right? Is this clear or any doubt here?
yeah, this is clear.
Right. Now, as you know that you don't have any access to those variables, you don't have this access as they are private, that means you cannot call them here. So what I did, I wrote one method called get salary and get bonus. What they are doing is whatever is the value of salary, they are just returning that. It's these methods are as simple as this, that they are just returning the value what you were whatever the value is there. Okay, so at this particular moment after you set the salary, you want to know did it actually got updated or not. I called this method called gson.salary. So after this particular line, after this 11th line number, when this line number 13 will execute, whatever the value of salary will be there at that particular moment in this employee class, you'll get that value. Okay, so this is what
Got
we
it,
are
got it, got it. Because first thing is we are setting the figure of the salary and then we are getting it and printing it out. That's
Yes,
fine. Okay.
that's what we are doing. Yeah. So you may need this value anytime. So I just wrote a single method which will give you the value whenever you need it. Okay, so moving ahead, next what we have is, so you clear with the getters and setters, right? Okay, so next we have is, abstract class. So let's talk about abstract class. Okay, so for abstract class, I'll take one example. Probably it will be clear with that example more. Okay, so I'll just yeah. So what I'm going to cover here is, let's say there are a couple of shapes with us. One is a cylinder. Okay, so I already apologize for my bad drawing. Okay, so let's say I have a cylinder, and then I have another figure, maybe one cuboid. Okay, so I'll just draw it. Let's say I have this cuboid with me. Okay, and I want to calculate volume of these two figures. Okay, so I want to calculate volume of this and I want to calculate volume of this. And I know that volume is also always equal to area of base, okay, area of base into height. This is my formula. Okay, just giving you one example and then I'll discuss about what is an abstract class. And this is also same formula, area of base and height. Now there comes the question that height is fine, both of them will have a height variable. Okay, will be the height of this and this will be the height of this. Okay, that's fine. Now let's talk about the area. So area for this cylinder shape will be pi r square, right? Because that's a circle. Okay, and here the area for a square box is side square. But the way we calculate volume is exactly the same. That is area of base into height. Here area is different for both the figures. Okay, that means I need I need a class where there will be couple of methods. One is volume and second is area of base. Now let's say I call that class as shape class. Then for this cylinder I'll create another class, let's say cylinder shape, where I need this volume method as it is, but I need the area of base to have a different implementation. Okay, similarly for this cylinder class, so for this cuboid class, again I need one method that is volume, which will be same, but I need a different implementation of this area of base, right? So is the problem statement clear, Jason? What I want? See, I have two figures, one is cylinder and second one is cuboid. I want to calculate the volume of both the figures. Now, this area of base, this volume is same for both because uh, both of them are using area of base as a method to, sorry, for both of them, the volume method will remain same because we are using area of base into height. But this method called area of base will vary for both. Okay, that means there is one method which can be shared in two, and there is another method which cannot be shared which needs to be there but must have different implementation. Okay, so how will you achieve this? So any doubt in this, in the problem, I mean in the question, in this
No,
example?
no.
Okay, so I'll just proceed with solving it, and I'll explain the abstract class in there only. So I'll create one class called, let's say, shape. Okay, I'll not do anything. Rest, yeah. I just created a class called shape. Now in this, I'll create one method called public void volume. Instead of void, I'll put it double, and I'll say volume. Okay. What all you need? One you need is length. It can be length or it can be the radius. Okay, or it can be radius. Okay, I created this method. Okay, and I'll create another method, public void, and I'll call it, uh, here I'll call calculate volume. Okay, and here I'll say calculate area of base. Okay, and this needs only one variable, that is, okay, it needs only one variable, that is int length. Okay, but I not, I mean, which implementation should I do? Should I do the implementation for radius, I mean the cylinder, or should I do an implementation for the other one, that is cuboid? I don't know which to use, so what I'll do, I'll not do any implementation. Okay, and before this, I'll add one keyword called abstract. Okay, but still it is giving me an error. Let's see what this error says. This error says the abstract method calculate area of base in type shape can only be defined in an abstract class. That means when I put this keyword called abstract, this method becomes an abstract method. What is an abstract method? I'll talk about it in few minutes, but it says that an abstract method can only be defined in an abstract class. So let's do one thing. Let's define this class as an abstract class. So I'll say public abstract calculate salary. So this error from here is gone. Okay. So again, I need to change its type to double. Okay, and now when I'll use this here, I'll say, let's say, double volume, and here it will be volume equal to calculate area of base, will pass the length into height, into, sorry, here I need to pass height. Okay, and here in the last we'll simply say return volume. So here you can see what I did is, I created a method called calculate volume, okay, in which has the complete implementation, in which I'm passing two arguments. One is int length and second is int height. Now, using this length, I want to calculate the area of base, so I created another method called area of base, where I'm passing this int length, and I made this method as abstract method which does not have a definition. And I when I hovered over, it was giving me an error. When I hovered over it, it should tell me it gave me an exception or error stating that you cannot define an abstract method in a non-abstract class. So I made my class also as an abstract class. So what is this I'm doing? This method which you're creating called calculate salary, I'm making it an abstract method. What is an abstract method? A method uh, which just have a signature and does not have a definition. Okay, you just have this signature or declaration, but you don't have any implementation of that. Okay, so that is an abstract method. An abstract method can only be defined in abstract class. What an abstract class is, an abstract class is something which can have normal methods and can have abstract methods. Okay, an abstract class can have only normal methods also. I mean, you can only define a normal method, no need of defining uh, abstract method. Okay, so this is small thing about abstract class. Clear? I mean, did you get what I'm doing here? Okay, now, yes, Ishan, you
How
have.
it will calculate that, like calculate area of base, you have hit that abstract method
Mhm,
and you're passing the value length in there.
mhm.
But
Yes,
how it will gonna
calculate.
calculate?
I'm coming to that. I'm coming to that. So to calculate, what we'll do, I'll create two different classes. One I'll create for cylinder, so I'll say cylinder here. Okay, and that cylinder class, I'll say extends. That means I'm inheriting extends what shape class. Okay, as soon as you do this, you'll get an error. If you recall earlier when I did this extends something, I was not getting any error. Okay, but what error we are getting here? When you hover over it, it will say the type cylinder must implement the inherited abstract method. Okay, that means this class called cylinder must implement. See, the cylinder class must implement the inherited abstract methods. That means it is enforcing you to implement those methods in here. So when I hover over it and I'll click on this add unimplemented method, you'll see that it created a method with the same name. Okay, with the same name, and now here you can write your implementation. So the implementation is return. What do you want to return? Area of base for cylinder. So area of base for cylinder will be uh, it will be math dot pi into uh, okay, and math dot pi into length. So pi r square is the formula. So that's the value. Whatever value will come here, that will get returned here. Okay, so this is for cylinder. Similarly, I'll create another class for cuboid. Okay, and when I create this class called cuboid, in this again, I let's say extends. Uh, the name of the class is shape. I'll extend shape, and here again you're getting the same error. When you hover over it, just click on add unimplemented methods, and here I'll simply say here the formula should be length into length, so it will be length into length. Okay, now there was a class called shape in which we have a method called calculate volume. Okay, then there is another method called calculate area of base, which does not have any definition. So we created another class in which those two methods were implemented the way they want. Okay, now I'll create another class for demo. So I'll say demo shape. Okay, I'll keep this public static void main checked, and here when I'll create an instance of cylinder class, I'll say cylinder cyl equal to new cylinder. Okay, and here I'll say cyl dot calculate area of calculate area of sorry, see, we have this method called calculate base, calculate volume, and here I'll just pass the value of length and let's say width. Okay, so when I execute this code, you will see happened? Okay, I guess I have not printed anywhere. Okay, right. So here once I calculate the salary, I mean this volume, I'll say double volume. So you can see these, it uses those two value to print this value. I mean executed and calculated the volume. Okay, so this is how this is happening now. Uh, if I run it in debug mode, if I show you it in debug mode, I'll put the debug mode here, right click debug as Java application. So here you can see I am at calculate volume. So I'll press F5, see where I am. I'm uh, I'm in this method which is there in shape class because I've called this calculate volume and it is defined in this class only. So I'm in inside this calculate volume. Now it is calling this calculate area of base. So if I press F5, you can see it is going inside cylinder class to execute or to call this method. So when I executed it, uh, so it returned this calculate area of base, whatever the value will be coming, and so you can see volume got printed. So this is how it works. Clear? Any doubt, any queries here?
We were after two shapes. One is cylinder and another one was cube.
Yeah, so I just give you a demo of the
Cylinder.
cylinder. I'll show you with the other one also now. So when I'll put another one, I mean cuboid. Okay, so here same thing, cube dot calculate volume. Here also I'll pass the same values, but you'll get a different result because shape are different and area will be different. Okay, I have not printed this. So here you can see for the first one the value is coming 1570 dot some value, and then for the next one it is simply coming as 500 because length is 10, so it will be 10 into 10 into 5, that is 500. Okay, so
For
that's
that, if I take an example of cylinder, you have created three different classes.
hmm
One is cylinder, one is shape, and in the third one is demo shape. You're calling them.
hmm
So can you go to the cylinder and then shape so I can see what's in there?
Yeah, when I go to cylinder, it has only one method, that is calculating the area, and shape has two methods. One is calculate volume and second one is calculate area. But this calculate area is an abstract method. That means it does not have any definition. It just has a statement, or you can say declaration. So in demo shape, when you're calling this calculate volume, this calculate volume is being called from shape. Shape then calls this calculate area of base, and this calculate area of base will be called from its respective class. So what benefit we are achieving is one of the method we are sharing in both the classes, and other method we are writing a different implementation in cylinder and different implementation in cuboid. So what benefit
Okay.
you will get? Benefit is one thing, you're sharing some of the methods. I mean, in shape class, you define one method, and that method was being shared by both. And second is, uh, if you create a shape class and as an abstract class, that will enforce other two classes to implement these two methods. Otherwise, what can happen if you'll not define any, if you'll not define this method here, okay, then in cylinder class you might write this calculate area of base, or you may forget. Okay, then it will not never enforce. Otherwise, here this shape class, when it's an abstract class and you are inheriting that class, you saw that it was enforcing you to write this method. Okay, so um, there will be a different implementation in cylinder and there will be different implementation in cuboid. So that's what we are achieving through abstract classes.
Okay,
Yes,
fine. I'll just practice it tonight and I'll see what. It will be more clear for me.
yes. I know for the first time it's a little confusing. So what benefit you get? Just remember that benefit is you're sharing some of the methods, and other methods you have different implementation, whatever you want. Okay, so this is about abstract class. Now there is one more point to know here, that an abstract class can never be instantiated. That means if I try to create an instance of a shape class, see, I can create an instance of shape class, shape, and then any shape, maybe um, cuboid or cube. Let's say I'm creating this shape cube. Okay, I can declare it easily. But if I'll go and try to initialize it, it will it will not give me. If I try to write this shape, it will create some anonymous inner type, which is a new concept came in later on. But it will not allow you to call the constructor of shape. That means you cannot initialize or instantiate shape instance of shape class. But what you can do is you can initialize them with one of its subclass. Like I can initialize it with cylinder or cuboid. So cube is a type of cuboid. I just did this. So here you can see this can be done. Shape cube equal to new cuboid. So what I want to say is that an abstract class can never be instantiated or initialized. It can be initialized with one of its child class. Okay, so just remember this. You cannot, because what will happen if you'll initialize it with shape class? If initialization will be from shape class, then you can only call methods from shape class, but shape class has abstract method as well, which does not have any definition, and it makes no sense to call a method without definition. So yeah, that's the reason an abstract class can never be instantiated or initialized. Clear?
Yes, it's clear. I was just writing those points.
Okay, fine. So yeah, this is another point. Now, in one of my interview, somebody asked me a question. Okay, think and answer. Now you know a couple of ways to do that, but you just have to think and answer. So the question was, how can I restrict a normal class to be instantiated and initialized? Okay, so the question is, in one of the interview, just as a tricky question, they asked, how can I restrict my class to be instantiated or initialized? So what do you think? Can you do that?
With that abstract method?
Yeah. So one way is by creating your class as an abstract class. Once you create your class as an abstract class, you cannot initialize it. And second way is by making your constructor as private constructor. So if you make your constructor as private, that will not be accessible outside, and uh, you'll not be able to uh, instantiate or initialize it. So these are two different ways. Small tricky question, just I recalled, so I just asked you here. Okay, so I'll not ask any other tricky question, otherwise you will get confused. So just go through the basics of this, okay, and then probably later on we'll discuss these questions in detail.
Okay. So the second answer was make a private
Ma-
constructor.
Making the constructor as private constructor.
Okay, got it.
Okay.
So we have a break here.
Yeah, let's have a break for some time and we'll continue.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so we can continue now. Any question, Jason, till now?
No, that's fine.
Okay, so next topic what we have is interface. So what is an interface? Interface is 100% abstract class. 100% abstract class means a class which only has abstract method, does not have a normal methods. Okay, so I'll come here and I'll create one interface. So right click new and I'll call it interface and name it anything. Maybe okay, I'll give you an example probably that will make things more clear. Okay, so uh, yeah, so I want to create an interface. Let's say I started an organization, maybe Microsoft I started, and I want to develop one Microsoft Office product, MS Office. I want to start. Okay. Now, for MS Office, this MS Office can have multiple products, right? It can have Excel, okay. It can have Word, then it can have many more access point. There are many products which are there. Okay. Now, if you look at Excel or you look at Word, the way uh, saving a file, opening a file, creating a new file, or uh, the look and feel, is that same or different? You'll find that both of them looks exactly same. Okay, if you open any Excel sheet or if you open any Word, the look and feel of those two different products of MS Office are exactly same. Okay, why they are keeping it same? They're keeping it same to one to make uniformity, second to for the user experience, so that user don't have to learn different uh, UI in or you can say different methods in Excel and different methods in Word. If something, if saving a file in Excel is at the left top corner, then that will remain same in Word so that user don't have to go and see where is the save button of Word, right? So to keep the uniformity and to keep this things simple, what we do is, as I told you, that they both of them are created exactly same, and how generally we achieve that by creating an interface. Okay, so what we'll do, we'll create one interface with name. Okay, I'll just delete it. Yeah. So what we'll do here is I'll create one interface and I'll call it. Okay, instead of class, you need to create a interface. So right click new interface and I'll call it MS Office. Okay, now this MS Office is an interface. Here the keyword will change from class to interface, and this will have only and only abstract methods. Okay, it cannot have normal methods. Another point to remember that uh, the abstract methods which you're going to create in MS Office, they need not be, I mean, you need not to add the abstract keyword with them. You can simply, like here, I can simply say public void any method. Maybe I want to create one save method. So I'll simply say save. No need of defining or adding abstract keyword. If you'll add that keyword, then also it's fine. You add it or don't add it, all the methods in this class will always be an abstract methods. Okay, so here if I'll say public void, another method I'll create as save as. Okay, and then again another method I'll create as public void uh, open. Okay, so I created these methods in it. So as I told you, this is an interface. The keyword used for interface is interface, and uh, you can only create abstract methods in them. abstract keyword is optional. If you'll keep it, then also fine. If you'll not keep it, then also it's fine. Okay. Now, when I'll create another class, and let's say I'm saying it MS Excel. Okay. So I know I'm creating a normal class now. So if I create a normal class here to implement an interface, here the keyword will be implements and the name of the interface. So in inheritance, we use the keyword called extends, whereas in interface, when you are implementing an interface, the keyword used will be implements. Okay, and here again it will give you an error that add on all unimplemented methods. So when I click on it, it will add all those methods. Now here you can do whatever you wish to. I'll say save method of MS Excel. Okay, save method of maybe save as method of, and here it will be open method of MS Excel. Okay, uh, so this is how you will inherit an interface. Okay, I'll create another class. Maybe let's say MS Word. Okay, now here again we'll say implements MS Office. Okay, again it will give you an error, so add unimplemented methods, and we'll add save method MS Word. So here we'll say save as method MS Word and open method MS Word. So now you can see MS Office, we are creating a product for which I created an interface. Now MS Excel is one of the product of MS Office, and it has all the methods which MS Office wants. Okay, but the implementation is in its own way. Like the way an MS Excel sheet will save is different than the way uh, MS Word file will save, right? But they both will have these same methods. So that's what we achieve through interface. I mean, there are many things you can learn here, many more things you can learn. So we'll learn with the time, but this is the basics of interface. Okay. So any questions till now?
No, that's fine.
Okay. So a few more things in interfaces, like um, if I'll create another class, let's say demo class, demo MS.
Just for the clearance, we are creating inheritance here, right?
Yeah, we
We
are
are inheriting the
we
interface with the
yeah,
class.
yeah, interface, yes.
Okay.
Why you need, I mean, interface in itself can do nothing because they don't have any definition. You have to inherit them somewhere. So I'll give you another example which will give you a good idea that how I mean, what is the real-time use of this inheritance in Selenium also, and in real world also. I'll give you one example. So currently let's focus here. So this is an interface. Here we are inheriting that interface, but how we inherit, here we call the term as implements, because we are implementing what is expected in MS Office. MS Office is an interface where we have methods. They are not implemented. So I created another class. We say implements that. That means we are inheriting that interface, and inheriting an interface means implementing that interface. So whatever abstract methods are there in that, you need to implement them, and that is mandatory. If you'll not have even a single method, it will throw an exception. So it's enforcing you to have all those methods which are defined in MS Office. Okay, so yeah, here I'll say now one small point to remember when we are saying demo MS Office. So here I can again same thing. I can create an instance of MS Office. Let's say um, name any other product access point. So I'll say MS access, but I cannot initialize it. So again, same thing like abstract class. You cannot initialize them. It will, when you will try to initialize, it will create an anonymous inner class. Okay, so that's an advanced topic. Let's not go in that. But what we can do is we can initialize it with one of the child class. So you can initialize it with MS Excel or you can initialize it with MS Word. That is what you can do. So I'll try to give you one real-time examples from Selenium. So we started with say Chrome browser, right? We started with Chrome driver. Okay, then we have Firefox driver for Firefox. Okay, then we have Safari driver for Safari. So I'll say Safari driver. And like this, there are n number of browsers are there. Now, just think that the methods written in Chrome driver, if they have different name as defined in Firefox driver or Safari driver, then you need to remember methods specific to Chrome, methods specific to Firefox, and methods specific to Safari. And this will cause lots of problem. Why? Because you need to write the same code multiple times with different methods. If let's say opening a browser in Chrome driver is through navigating to a URL through in Chrome browser is through .git and maybe is different in Firefox, then you need to write separate code for different browsers. But that's not the case. We write same code, everything same, only class name changes. So how does this happen? This happened because there are many interfaces. One of them is WebDriver, and this WebDriver interface is something which is implemented by all these classes. So all those methods which are common like .get, .navigate to, .navigate URL or find element, find elements, all those methods which are there in all the three classes, they are actually defined, or you can say they are actually an abstract methods in WebDriver interface. So all those methods are actually abstract methods, and through these classes we are implementing them, and that's the reason that all these classes has exactly same method. So there is a uniformity which is maintained between different browsers. So this is one of the example of having interface. If you'll not have interface, then yes, you can say that I can create same methods in different classes. Yes, you can, but you might miss something, or you might change the name of any method, which will actually cause problem later on. So the better way is define an interface and then implement that interface so that that problem will never occur. Clear here, Jishan?
Yes, yes.
Okay, so this is about interfaces. Any questions here?
No question.
Okay, so what do you think? I mean, is it enough for today, or should I continue with other topic? Because other topics are totally different. Next, most of the concepts from OOPS are done, from object-oriented programming are done, and now I'll be starting with data structures in detail. Maybe uh, lists and queues and not queues, lists, sets, and maps. That's what I have to cover next.
Okay, so would you think like we're gonna cover within that time we have
No,
in the future?
we'll not be able to cover in this. I need two classes to cover these topics, at least two classes. So
Okay.
maybe let's do it
Yeah,
next
yeah.
week so that you can have a revision of it, and those topics
Yes.
will get easy also. Okay. So
Yeah, yeah.
just go through the recordings again and just go through any one of the Java tutorials. And if you find any statement which is not clear to you there, do let me know. I mean, we can discuss on that.
Okay, no, that would be fine. Yeah, sure.
Okay. So yeah, that's all then for today. See you
Okay.
next week.
Let's see. Okay, and today I'll send you the rest of the assignment
Sure, sure.
related to that selenium.
Sure, sure. No worries. Okay. So next weekend
Okay.
we'll complete a few more things in Java, and then again we can come back to Selenium. Okay.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. So I'm ending the session now. Thanks for joining. See you
Thank
tomorrow
you.
next
Thank you.
weekend. Yeah. Okay. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.